Good evening, Troy. Welcome to the Granite Zero podcast. Thanks for coming on.
Evening. No worries. No worries. Thank you very much for having me on. And yeah, apologies for the previous run around. My partner had, she had COVID, and then we we got a bit run down, and I literally got caught out. So yeah, that's all on me. So thank you very much for that.
No, it's no problem. I totally understand that. I've had a few guests that, life happens. As I say, it happens. It's all good.
Exactly. Sometimes life happens. If it's not children, it's it's yourself, or it's someone. Something always tends to happen. But
yeah, exactly.
No, here now, and excited to be here for the Granite Zero podcast. So
it's my honor to have you on. What's it like over in Australia at the minute? Because obviously you guys went through some absolute shocking scenes. Like at one minute it was like you guys had almost had the blueprint to getting rid of COVID, and then the next thing you guys are locked away again.
It depended on state by state, so I don't know how to put it in a British sense, but where I was in New South Wales at the time. Now I'm in Queensland, but depended on state by state. So I got fully. It's funny. I got completely vaccinated, and I still got COVID. As you do. But I got the worst variant of it, and I've still got after effects. But Victoria was the most locked down state. They were locked down for pretty much, a year to 2 years. Like they couldn't do really anything outside of go to the shops, get what they needed to get. Like there was no kids playing in the playground. There was no having fun. There was no, you couldn't go to a bar. You couldn't do anything. So, but at the moment, it's pretty good. Like everyone just roams around everywhere and does everything.
That's good.
Yeah, it's which, yeah. Like I don't know, but look, the UK side of things, UK got locked down, I suppose. Europe got locked down. America did its own thing. So I don't know. I don't know the right answer. Like, I'm not a doctor by any means. So
yeah.
I don't like to sit there. I don't like to be one of these commentators from the sidelines. So
I know what you mean. My missus is always telling me off. She's like, "What medical experience have you got?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't, but I have common sense." And I've done a little bit of stuff in terms of the body with anatomy and physiology. I sort of know how viruses work and etc. And I was like, and I've said from the beginning, I was like, we sort of just need to become our own sort of vaccine. But the same as you, I've had the three jabs. So because in my head I was like, I want that little bit extra just in case I do get it. I'm still undefeated.
Mate,
I don't know how.
That's pretty amazing. So yeah, no, well, it's the same as my partner. She's had her 3 jabs here in Australia, and she's still undefeated. I had mine, and I got unfortunately, I got use cricket terms. I got run out. I suppose I got run out at 99. So
oh no,
and got absolutely nailed. But that's life, mate. That's life. So
it is. So let's get into the nitty gritty before we go down any fucking conspiracy rabbit holes with COVID and stuff like that, because that's a whole nother that's a whole nother thing. But yeah, so from
definitely
looking you up, one of the first, well, we would call them forward air controllers or JTACs, TACP. You were one of the first for the mighty Australian Air Force. That's an incredible sort of title that you've kind of got there.
Look, I wouldn't say I was the first in Air Force side of things, in Air Force combat control, like the Air Force forward air control side of things. But there was definitely Army before I was. We brought a lot of UK SF out. We brought a lot of US SF out to train us and stuff like that. So Yeah, it's that's the way that went. So yeah, I joined back up. Like I was a conventional guy back in when I first joined the Air Force in 2000. Did a couple of a couple of tours to various places, to Iraq and Band Aceh and stuff like that. Got out for a while, rolled the circuit on the bodyguard circuit for a bit, and then because I stayed reservist, and then came back in as a full timer, and then did selection and passed as a Special Forces Combat Controller here in Australia. But to stand that unit up, like we brought UKSF out, we brought actually a few Brits out, and they loved it because obviously they got free beer and it was a free trip to Australia, and they dodged the British winner at the time. Well, they dodged the British winner at the time, so why wouldn't you? But exactly. So and then we obviously brought over some US guys. So so it was a massive influence from UK and then US. So we stood it up and off we went.
Because I think this might just be me being a bit ignorant in terms of sort of the military side of things, but I've always found that the Aussies have sort of flown under the radar. You guys do fucking amazing work, especially Special Forces side of it. Even though I'm going to touch on another subject in a minute, see if I can get your 2 pence on that. But it's as though you guys sort of flown under the radar a little bit. It's like, why? These guys are fucking awesome.
Yeah, we've always been taught to be in the shadows. Like when we went through selection and training, it was like, be the grey man, be in the shadows. And again, we were always, because we're such a small country, we're always a little brother to UK and US. So, you guys would be doing the heavy hitting, and then Australia would just be sort of, we'd do some heavy hitting, but it'd just be like, well, we'll just sort of fly under the radar and do what we do. So that's the way it went.
That's always as it seems.
Definitely.
And I like that. We're a small country. It's crazy, isn't it? Because population-wise, you are, but size-wise, you're fucking massive. It's just nobody's in the middle. Too hot.
Exactly. I was having this conversation with my partner the other day, because I've travelled extensively throughout the UK. And when I say UK, I don't mean any disrespect to any. I've been to Scotland, I've been to Ireland, up at Wales and stuff like that. But I'm just sitting there. We're talking about some of the shit driving that we see here in Australia, and I'm just going. I said, but it's still good. It's still better than going down a single lane road in Wales or Ireland or something like that. And I'm stuck behind a sheep herder who's got 1,000 sheep up a single lane road. And I'm just like, get the hell off the road, sort of thing. I don't want to swear on your podcast, but
you can swear as much as you want.
Get the hell off the road, and I'm like. And I'm like, just get the hell off the road. Like the situation I'm talking about.
Oh, surely. Definitely. I have it, mate. I live in a village, so we get tractors and combine harvesters going down small narrow roads constantly. It's a pain in the ass, but it is what it is. You know what I mean? This is all I've ever known. It's all I've ever known.
Yeah, exactly.
One thing we have got at the minute, we've definitely got the Australian summer at the minute. Jesus Christ. Global warming at its best in the UK.
Yeah, but what's the Australian summer in the UK? It's like 27 degrees Celsius.
No,
it'd be less. It'd be like 80 Fahrenheit or something like that. And
to be fair,
you Brits would just be like dying in the ass.
It's not quite Australian summer, put it that way, but we have topped up at, I think it was 36, 37 during our last heat wave. But we're just
that's pretty bad.
If I'm honest, we're just an idiot country, I think, because we're like, oh, it's never going to happen to us. We do the same in the winter when it snows. It's like, oh my God, it snowed. We haven't got enough salt for the ground. It's like, but it's going to snow. It snows every year. And then in summer, it's like it's not going to be it's not going to be hot. It's not going to be hot, and now it's like, oh my god. And for myself personally, sat in the shed, I'm basically sat in a sauna. But luckily, it's only 9 o'clock in the morning, so it's not quite that. It's not quite peak temperature yet.
No. And look, 37 would destroy a lot of people over here anyway. So
yeah,
it's not that bad. Like I just.
Yeah.
The banter, especially when it comes to all sports, because obviously obviously Australia comes from the UK, but I love the banter, I love the sports, and I love the camaraderie and stuff. Like I can get in a cab, I can get one of those black cabs from the Heathrow, and the cab out losing in rugby, and I'm going, I don't even follow rugby. I play rugby, like I follow rugby league. Like I follow sport. I love sport, so I do know what goes on with rugby. I do know what goes on with cricket. But yeah, I'm just getting hammered by a cab driver, and I'm just going, oh mate, give it a break, will you?
Cab drivers are undefeated.
Get to my hotel.
Yeah. Hey man, shut the fuck up and let me get to my hotel. Stop talking to me. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. Cab drivers, especially in London.
Yeah.
Can be a bit of sports banter. It's awesome.
No, definitely,
awesome.
And yeah.
So yeah, one thing I did want to pick your brain at, obviously being part of SF with the forward air controlling and things like that. Obviously, we had a documentary come out over here about unlawful killings, you could say, during tours of Afghanistan through the British SF. But the funny thing is, they've got no footage of the British forces doing it. Every bit of footage is coming from the Australian SAS, and it's like, well, you're investigating the British, but you're doing Australian stuff. And they had this Australian, I believe he's a signaller. I don't know what regiment. I don't know what force, whether he was Air Force or Army or Navy or whatever. But he was like, yeah, I witnessed it firsthand, and it's been a big thing over in Australia. And it's like just want to get your like sort of 2 pence on it, because it's a strange thing that they investigate people during wartime over things that, especially journalists, have nothing, no sort of inkling of what goes on.
You've just summed it up perfectly, and with the one word, journalists. They've got no idea. It's like, yes, there was an investigation over here. It is still ongoing. I got an interview about it as well, but they're all unfounded allegations, and they've gone from there. So, unfortunately, some people have had to deal with that. It's terrible. I personally didn't do anything wrong, didn't say anything wrong. I never heard about anyone doing anything wrong. But it's just like, we stuck to the rules of engagement. So
yeah, of course.
And so did it from the Australian SF side of things. So did everyone. Everyone stuck to the rules of engagement. There was, they're basically, what I call fishing for crabs, where you throw your line out and you're trying to catch a crab, where the crab is just sort of grabbing at stuff. And I don't know,
it's a strange one.
I don't want to cast. It is. I don't want to cast aspersions on the Australian judicial system, but at the same time, it's like you're chasing down something, like you're chasing a ghost. You're trying to catch a ghost that doesn't exist. So, and when you look at the evidence, or what they're presented as the evidence, it just doesn't add up. And
definitely.
And they're on rotations. they're on rotations that I was on. Not the force element, because we had two force elements there. We had force element Alpha and force element Bravo. We were both chasing different people. My force element was chasing chemists from, and we were working with the drug, the DEA, so Drug Enforcement Administration from US. We were chasing chemists to sort of cut down the logistics side of things, and then force element Alpha were chasing down the IED makers, and we're both hitting high value individuals. Both did work to the highest regard. Luckily for, well, not luckily, but for us, we worked with UKSF at the time. We worked with US, JSOC elements at the time. We had a heap of elements. So did force element Alpha. But all of a sudden these things come up and you just sit there and go, I just don't, like, I sit there and go, I don't get it. But you get a media system who wants to run with the story,
and they always have that. They always have that one narrative.
I'm sure it's the same. Exactly, and I'm sure it's the same with UK.
Oh, we've had it.
Like, I'm sure they're sitting there.
We've had it with a couple of different stories. We had one with Brian Wood, who's got a military cross for his time in Iraq. He got investigated. And then we had for apparently shooting a farmer when it wasn't a farmer. It was fighting age male with a AK-47. Definitely isn't a farmer. But and then we had the allegations with the Marines, Marine A, B and C, who took out a Taliban operative and then shot him again while he was on his way out, you could say. I don't know the full story of that, so I'm not going to divulge into it because I'll butcher the story completely and I'll be like, But yeah, the documentary I saw, they were definitely clutching at straws. Like I said, they had all this different helmet cam footage or GoPro footage, and it was like, but everything we're seeing is exactly what you're supposed to be doing. They're clearing rooms, they're taking enemy fire, they're firing back, they're firing and moving. It's like, all this footage, you haven't shown me anything. You've shown me some pretty cool footage from Afghanistan, to be fair play to the combat cameraman, but also there's no indication that that's a SF group or anything like that. It's like, usually you can tell by the weapon systems they're carrying if they're got multi-cam on. For example, they've got something from Australian SF and something from the British FF. Sometimes they swap kit, etc. It's like, it just looked like a regular army unit or Air Force unit.
Yeah.
It was like, this is bullshit. You're clutching at straws here.
I mean, look, that's the media, and the British, the British side of things should know that. I'm sure there was media campaigns when you were constantly in, in Ireland and stuff like that. When I don't know which para-regiment it was, but the old Bloody Sunday days, the media just beat that up into something that it was something that it wasn't. Like, it was guys on the ground that were dealing with a shit situation. So and it's like, who is the public, or who am I to judge, sort of thing. It's like, those guys and girls, well, obviously there wasn't girls there, but who am I to judge about those guys on the ground?
Exactly. And it even goes down to, not that I've got much experience with this at all, but it even goes down to, if you had a massive firefight like 5 minutes earlier, you're going to be still stuck in that red zone, you could call it, that go zone, where you haven't had that condor moment to chill out. You're still on the go. So if you've just had constant firing at you, of course you're going to be in a different mental state. And journalists don't understand that, because they're obviously not being shot at for a living, predominantly.
That's correct. But at the same time, I can't speak for other special operations or special forces around the world, but we trained for that. We trained for being shot at, and then just all of a sudden, calming ourselves down, and then doing the job that needs to be done. So if that needs to be a clearance mission straight after, like we've got to clear a couple of compounds and we've got to help out some people, then yeah, like we were getting shot at one day, and then I watched a guy run out of the compound and shoot at us, and we shot him, and he went down, with what we call a tension pneumothorax. So he got hit in the chest.
Yeah.
And we don't know who shot him. It was one of us, because he was shooting at us. So his weapon's beside him. We rolled up on him, so we're sort of, firing, moving towards him. And then the medic, who was just behind us, he sat there and provided first care. He decompressed decompressed his chest. So he put a needle in there. So he saved his life. And then we put him on a helo to go back to get him Kandahar, in Afghanistan. Yeah, and we saved his life. And people don't tell those stories.
No, they don't. No, they don't.
People sit there and go, "Oh, you shot innocent people." It's like, we shot someone who was shooting at us, which we're legally allowed to do under the rules of engagement. But then our medical guy saves him, and then we put him on a helo and push him away. Like, that's the way it happened. And funnily enough, one of the helos that was flying in support, so it wasn't the medevac helo, it was the Apache crew was British. And I'm like, because as a JTAC, as a Joint Terminal Attack Control, I'm controlling all the airspace.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there, and we knew Prince Harry. We knew Prince Harry was over there at the time, and I'm like, I couldn't help myself. I'm like, is this call sign Prince Harry? I got no, because I was just being a smart ass on the back end of the radio. So, but it's got
to be done. It's got to be done.
I don't even know. Is he a prince? Is he a prince anymore? I don't even know.
I have no idea. I can't. I've read and I've seen that they were going to take his title away from him, and then he turns up at a fucking wedding or a funeral or whatever it was, Jubilee. That's what it was. And then it's Prince Harry this, Prince Harry. It's like, so I thought that was taken away from him, but whatever. I've met Harry and I've met Wills. They're both fucking pretty cool, to be fair. Those that give him shit, you know what I mean? It is what it is. But yeah,
exactly.
Going back to the giving the initial aid thing, I remember letting my missus know that that's what we have to. If we engage the target and we shoot someone and they're injured but not dead or critically, we have to go in and give them first aid. And she was like, "But that's the enemy." And I went, "Yeah, but that's the rules." It was like, you have to preserve his life because we are human. we're not just fucking robots that are just going to roll something up and then, it has to be done. She was shocked by it.
Exactly.
They were trying to kill you.
Things,
It is what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
So how many times have you or did you deploy out to the wonderful desert that is the Middle East, Afghanistan, Iraq?
So in a special forces sense, I deployed 4 times, but I did about I did a couple of deployments out there in a conventional side of things as well. And then total deployments for me were 8 on the books anyway.
8 on the books. I like that. 8 that people know about. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
In the words of Dana White, if you know, you know, or if you don't know, you don't know, or something like that. I don't know. So, but so I did 4 deployments in the special operations side of things. So.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. The part of my ignorance is it? Do you have the same sort of tour length as others? Because obviously you've got the Americans that go for fucking too long. I believe they do like 18-month stints, don't they? Then you've got us that do 6 months, or you can opt to do extra if you wanted, if you're a mad head. Is the Australian still similar? Do you do month by month, or is it different with the special forces? Obviously,
it's similar. I can't talk to the conventional forces side of things. I can only talk to what I was doing in the special operations side.
Cool.
So our rotations were 4 months at a time. So we'd go hard 4 months. They would drag out sometimes to 5 months, just depending on, like for my role when I was the JTAC, I would predominantly drag out to 5 months. Yeah, just to go into the new rotation and stuff like that. But yeah, it was. But what people don't see or what people don't hear is the lead up to that.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
You know, you're doing 6 months. You're doing 6 months lead up. So you come off rotation. You'd have, a couple of months off, if that, and then you go back into 6 months of workup. So you do, the lead up, the workup, and that was longer. So you're working as a unit together and just smashing stuff for 6 months, and then you go overseas for 4 months, and then you come home. So
yeah, we were pretty.
Yeah, the longest rotation.
We were pretty similar with that.
Yeah, the longest rotation I did was 7 months. That was in Iraq in 2015. They just didn't have a replacement for me at the time, and look, I was enjoying it. I was doing what I was doing, and
that's one thing a lot of people don't realize, especially civilian side, is how much preparation for pre-deployment, as we would call it, you do to make sure that everything is fucking spot on. It starts quite slow and then it ramps up. So you start with obviously your weapon handling tests, learning new weapon systems if you need to, comms, etc. And then it keeps building up, and then you go away on exercise. You do a week's exercise, then 2 weeks exercise, then you go live firing, etc. Plus all the range packages. I remember when it was coming up to, I was engaged to my wife. She was pregnant, and pretty much that whole year was a write-off. It was like we were on pre-deployment, and then basically had like a week or so leave, and then it was like a bit extra pre-deployment. Then I went away to Kandahar, and I came back, and then it was like you have a couple of weeks off, and then it's like, right, it's time to start up again because we're going away. We're going to Bastion. It's like, Jesus Christ. And it was like, there's a reason why, especially back then, it might be a lot different now, is there isn't as much burnout. I think that's what happens to a lot of, especially during that phase from 2001 to 2021, when we've finally left, which went really well. I just think during those during that 20-year stint, I just think
a lot of cycle.
Yeah, that did go really well. But I think a lot of the soldiers burnt out. I think where if you look previously, like especially from this is my perspective now, I could be completely wrong, but from like my old man's era, my old man served in the Air Force as a parachute jump instructor for 22 years. From that sort of era, they all seem to do like massive stints, like 22 years, and then like in the 80s they were then that breed was still doing 22 years, and it comes to like the breed now, and it's like only a handful stay on and get promoted up to sergeant, flight sergeant, etc. It seems that they do say 4 or 5 years, 6, probably 10 at the most, and then it's like, nah, I'm done, I'm burnt out, I want to do some fucking family stuff. I did 5.5 years, and during that 5.5 years I did 3 deployments to Iraq, Kandahar and Bastion, and people don't realize even in the build up to that, it's like we said, it's the 6 months pre-deployment to each tour, and it's like I've lost fucking nearly like pretty much 5.5 years. Madness.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's what not that I disrespect anyone who hasn't served, but I think that's what people don't realise is the build up, the overall time. Like, it's not just the deployment; it's the pre-deployment, but then there's the post-deployment as well,
I
where
agree.
Everyone's different. Like, for me, I was fine. I post-deployment, I wanted to be surrounded by family and stuff like that, but at the same time, it still took me a bit of time to wind down and do my stuff. So, it cost me it cost me a marriage, and it cost me relationships subsequently afterwards. So, but that's life, and I chose what I chose. So I'm sure it's no different to any other person military wise across the world. So.
Definitely. Well, I like I spoke about it on here. If I hadn't have put my papers in to leave at the point like I did, I don't think I'd still be married to my missus. Like, it was, the stress levels were ridiculous. Like, and me being stressed, I took that home. My wife started developing sort of depression and anxiety traits and things like that. She missed being at home. She's a very homely girl. I left home at 20, so I'm fine. I don't live anywhere near my hometown now. I live the other side of the country, but for her it was a massive thing, and I was like, I could see the decline in her mental state, and I was like, well, I've got to make a decision here. It's either lose the marriage, not see my daughter, my eldest daughter, for long periods, or finally take the cut. And for me, that was the hardest thing, was when I did put the papers in, because I didn't realize how much I loved and missed the job.
Yeah, it's not just the job though. You leave the brotherhood. You're leaving the brotherhood. Like, you're leaving all the brothers, the mates, and stuff like that. So it's tough. But I often refer to it as, the military is it's for guys like yourself and myself and many others. It's the military is like our dirty mistress. It's like a mistress that you have on the side, and it's a known mistress, but you do everything for the mistress and not for your actual family. So it's the same with me, and that's why I lost my family. So
it's a tough one. It's a tough one.
I'm good. I'm exactly, like, I'm good friends with my children and stuff like that. But that's military was predominantly the biggest reason, and I don't blame the military, but it's just my execution with the military aided in my breakup with my
especially being special forces.
So.
Especially being special forces, that's different. That's different gravy. That's different gravy. Especially as you're sorry, carry on.
I was never here in Australia. I was never home. We were away at the time. On average, I was away 10 months a year, so 10 to 11 months a year. So I saw my children, I saw my ex-wife 2 months a year. Part of that time, we were just fighting. She's like, yeah, and I'm going, well, you're getting good money, and she's carrying on the way she was, and there was a difference of opinions. I don't have anything bad to say about her, but it was, the military is a dirty mistress. That's what that's the way. Like, I try and put everything in a bit of with a bit of humor. And go, the military is a dirty mistress. So,
and it's one of those that obviously each sort of aspect of the military have their own sort of core values. And being part of the Royal Air Force, as is RISE, and the S is obviously service before self. So that's always, I never really understood that until I was like, oh, I can see now that I'm putting the service before before myself, before my family, before anything else. And it's like, I think it's, it does hit home, definitely. Right, we've got on this call, we've got 3 minutes left. What I'm going to do is I'll stop it there, and then I'll send you a new link, and then we'll do the ad break. and then we'll.
Yeah, sounds good. We'll go to ad break. Have you got a sponsor that we can do the ad break in?
I have 2 sponsors because I'm lucky now. We've got.
Well, there you go.
I'll do it now.
Throw the sponsor in.
I'll do. So
yeah, let's throw it in. And
first up, we've got Kent CBD.
How can I and how? Well, there you go. CBD oil.
Definitely.
CBD. I can't recommend it enough. It helps you sleep. It helps you just chill the hell out. So.
It does. And like you just said, I can't recommend CBD enough. And Kent CBD being local to me, well, it helps. But yeah, I use it to deal with anxiety stuff, my depression. In fact, they actually helped me come off my my antidepressants, which is good. I no longer take them anymore. So that's pretty fucking awesome. And you can put in the promo code Granite0 and get 10% off. And also, this is the biggest shout out.
Granite0. I will throw that in there. Granite0, and we'll throw that out there here in Australia.
We will. And the other one, Green Beret coffee. Yes, Green Beret coffee. It's fucking awesome. That's what I was drinking this morning, and it's fucking delicious. So big shout out to him, and go and check them out. He hasn't given me a promo code yet, but it's on the way. It's on the way. But yeah, what I'm gonna do is I'll quickly send you a new link, and we'll get into some other topics.
No worries.
Give me 2 secs.
All right. Awesome.
Welcome back. How was that break for you?
Yeah, good. It's yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
So how did you find coming back from tour? Did you have any sort of struggles? Were you just job, home, fine?
Personally, I went straight. I got back, most times on just due to the way the Australian things worked. I got back on a Thursday. I was back at work on the following Monday. So, and we just, because you get your psychological evaluation on the way out, so you get it before you get into country, and then you've got to do another one within 3 months. And it was basically, well, not basically, it was just ticking and flip. Like, you'd sit there and go, yeah, are you drinking more than 6 drinks a night? And I'm like, no. Are you doing this? Are you doing that?
You're drinking more than 6 drinks a night. It's like, I'm Australian. Is that a box to tick?
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's so you just sort of, we call it the tick and flick test, and then you see a psychologist and you go, yeah, no, I'm fine, I'm good, and then just go, yep, move on. That's no detriment to, and it's the same in normal. It's the same in the real world. It's unless you present with a problem, unless you can open up, you're not going to be able to treat that problem. So, yeah, I come home and did that, and just went off with the kids and did my thing, and then, or I, pretty much went straight into, most of the time, 90% of the time. There was only one time I went off and got holidays afterwards, but most of the time I'd get home on a Thursday. I'd have that weekend off, and then I'd be straight back into work. So that was and you get leave, straight after it, but you'd go straight into a different role, and it's just so
constantly on the hamster
way
wheel.
It worked, and it wasn't just for me. Yeah, it wasn't just me. Like, I'm not sitting there playing the blame game, and I'm not sitting there blaming anyone. Like, when I had my downfall, for anyone who reads the book, like, I had a massive downfall, but the only person to fault for that was me. Like, I don't blame the Defence Force or anything like that. So the military. So that was me, and that's on me. And I took the correct procedures to rectify that. So
yeah. So did the downfall happen when you left?
I wish it did, but no, the downfall happened whilst I was still serving. I took when you get up to a posting, so I got up to flight sergeant. So I'm Air Force flight sergeant. That's a warrant officer class 2 in the Army world here in Australia. So American world, it's a E8. Took a posting, went into the training realm, as opposed to being the lead guy in the operations realm. I had to go do a training stint. So went up to our combat survival school, our SEER school, and survive, evade, resist, escape sort of side of things. Went up there and just started to unravel and fall apart. So created, I don't know how much you want me to go into with your listeners, but created substance abuse problems, from alcohol through to illicit substances. And but at the same time, I could still teach a class. Like, I'd still sit there, and at the end of it's funny. At the end of the day, like, students sit there and go, "Oh, Flight Sergeant Knight is the best instructor we've got," and I'm sitting there going, "I was off my fucking head, and I don't know." I don't even remember that lesson. So that's no detriment to anyone. The only detriment it is to me, and I'm very embarrassed about it. But I'd like to talk about it, because if I can stop one person doing it, then I've achieved my mission in life.
That's a big thing as well, and I've had it before, where people have told me not to discuss the topics that I've discussed about myself, with my mental health issues that I went through. And I remember sitting down with a previous guest, and I was like, I've had people say this to me, and he's like, well, who else is better to speak about these sort of problems than somebody that's got these problems or had these problems and has come out the other side? And I was like, that I never thought of it that way. It's like the old saying, those who can, or those who have, teach. And it's not, it's a slippery slope, especially with certain things, like you said, substance abuse, whether it's alcohol or harder drugs and things like that. A lot of people go, "Oh, let's not talk about that," or how about we do talk about it? Everybody's different, as I've said on the show countless times, and if your experience can help somebody, then fucking right, discuss, let it out.
That's pretty much all I say. It only takes a conversation to help someone. So I was lucky. The unit I was with had an amazing medic. He looked after me, and then an amazing CO, so commanding officer. So they looked after me. I got the correct help that I needed to, and then just been on the path forward, the correction ever since. And look, it's not an easy one, but at the same time, and you sort of every now and again you go down your little channels and stuff like that, but it's still not the same as what I was on. But that was where I was at towards the end of my career. So it just came to a point where, and I got posted back to my original unit, and I just went to myself, I just don't have the passion for this anymore. I love the new blokes coming through, because I was in the training senior NCO role. Like, I was in charge of training, and I'm sitting there going, I just don't have the passion for this anymore. Like, I literally don't. I think it's awesome, the people that are coming through, but at the same time, I just don't have the passion. So
So
I just made the decision to move on, and it was kind of made for me. I got medically discharged as well, so yeah, so it was a group decision between myself and the medical staff. So, but
yeah,
the medical side of things in the Air Force, they looked after me. So again, I don't have a bad word to say about any of them. So.
You can't beat the Air Force. The Air Force is the best.
Mm.
Speaking as a former Air Force guy myself, and I've always thought that the Air Force have always treated their airmen better. That's just my opinion.
I think so. I think it's the same here in it's only my opinion, but I think it's the same here. The same here in Australia. Like, people get treated in the Air Force better than they do in the Army. So Navy treat their personnel quite well, as I think. But again, that's just the word according to Troy. So who knows?
So with the abuse, the substance abuse, was it yourself that sort of had that light bulb moment and thought, shit, I'm in shit state here? Or was it somebody that took you one side and said, Troy, what's going on?
No, it was myself. So I was in a relationship at the time. She'd been pleading with me to get help, and then she just said, look, enough's enough, and she walked away, and I just went, I had that light bulb moment, and so I self-referred, and just went from there. So and I was supported from the military subsequently since. So it was a pretty tough moment. Like, it sucks losing someone that you were involved with, and then it sucks telling your job, which you love, that it's like, hey, I'm not 100%. I'm not 100% here. So, but I had some good people looking after me. So
that's good. As silly as it sounds, because obviously you were in a shit state, but also it's amazing that you found the courage and the strength to go, fuck, this needs to be sorted. I had a similar sort of light bulb moment myself. I was drinking a lot more than I should have been. I wasn't abusing myself in terms of drink, but I think if I carried on, I would have probably had gone down that route. And I remember me and the missus had a massive argument, and she was like, you either need to sort your fucking life out or I'm off. And again, similar to when it was my time to leave the military, it was like, I need to make a fucking decision here. And previous to that, I tried therapy, went 2 or 3 times, and I was like, I'm good now, I'm done. Fucking, how wrong was I? But it's like, it's those sort of moments that sort of build you as a character as well, and you sort of see when you're at your lowest of the low, you sort of can see how strong you can be to get yourself back up.
Yeah, most definitely. I don't know, like, I don't know how to explain it. It's just once you hit rock bottom and you see that, it's just like, oh well, I'm not going back there. So
it's not a nice place. Definitely not a nice place.
You push through. You push through. Yeah, you push through. Everyone sits there and goes, "Oh, there's light at the end of the tunnel." But when you get to that mental state, it's just sometimes it's a never-ending tunnel, and you just sort of like there's light there, but
trying to get to that light,
and you might get out of that tunnel. Exactly. You nailed it right there.
Yeah, it's definitely a tricky place to be in the darkness. Definitely is. Which is why I started the podcast originally, was to get me to not necessarily always talk about the mental side of my problems or what. It's just to sit there and talk to like-minded people and have interesting conversations. I've said that I've said it enough times, like I always feel a lot happier once I finish the podcast that come out. I'm always really happy, buzzing. I've had that sort of that fix, you could say. This is like the podcast is like my drug, you could say. But it's awesome. But between doing that and writing my book, you know, I got a lot of stuff out of my system. How did you find writing your book?
It was cathartic for a bit, but it was very emotional at the end. Like, well, chapters were very emotional. So it was good to get it all off the chest, but it was very emotional. Like, yeah, I hope I don't turn away too many of your listeners, but I shed a lot of tears. Like, you know,
No, that's fine.
Talking about situations, talking about dead friends and stuff like that. So yeah, I shed a lot of tears, but at the same time, it was like a weight was lifted off my shoulders. So nah.
Yeah, definitely. I bet it was. And yeah, it's amazing how many times you can go back through different chapters of your life, and then as you're writing it, just start reliving things back in your memory, and you're like, oh, like for me, like I said, the hardest thing for me was to let go of the military, because in my opinion, I wasn't done, but I was, because I had to focus on the family. And then when I was rewriting it, and I was like, God, I miss that. God.
A good friend of mine, and that's like, and you'll catch me, and you've probably caught me over the podcast when I say us. Like, I'm no longer part of the unit. I've got nothing to do with it. I don't know what they're doing. Yeah, but I sit there and go us. But a good friend of mine sits there and goes, you know, he's out now, and he goes, it takes about 3 years for you to separate yourself. Like, you know, he does his own thing, but he sits there and goes, yeah, it takes about 3 years for you to separate yourself from the military. So I was like, all right, that's some good advice right there.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, especially those that are coming to the end of their military careers, need to understand, unless they're not fully fully submersed in the military life, because some people join up and then go, this ain't for me, and then leave pretty early. But those that have been around the same people year in, year out, for a long period of time, you, like you said, you do refer to them as your brothers, and they pretty much are like family. And it is difficult. It is difficult to let go. It's I found it a huge struggle to let go. And what really was a kick in the teeth for me was when I started the podcast and wrote my book, and I mentioned it sort of in your DMs about some of the feedback that I had on my book, and then even down to the podcast. I was like, I used to call you guys friends. I used to call you guys brothers, and you're giving me this. It's like, cheers for your support. Like, do you know what I mean? I'm not sure that your review that you had, that you shared, was a friend, or if it was just a random person. But you know, it's amazing how these people crawl out of the woodwork.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it was we all say, yeah, we all share the similar type of humor. So I don't know if it was a friend or anything like that. And look, I didn't take it too seriously. I didn't take it seriously actually at all. I was sitting with my partner, Bree, and we were laughing at it. We were just sitting there going, like, we were literally, and it was her idea, and she's like, you should repost this on social media. And I'm just going, oh really? Like, I don't care. But yeah, it's just like,
yeah. I'm now at that point.
We were, yeah.
I wasn't.
Yeah.
I used to take it all to heart, into the point where I would just like not read it. But then my wife would then read it, and then she would get upset. I'm like, just fucking stop reading them. I went, I'm not everyone's cup of tea. I've known that from when I was a fucking kid. I was like, it is what it is. And now I'm in the same point as you. I look at it now, especially those that have said verified payment and things like that under the Amazon things. It's like, well, you've just given me money to give me that shit review, so cheers. even if it was only a couple of quid, you know what I mean? Cheers, easy.
Pretty much. That's the way. Yeah, that's the way I look at it. It's just like, I can't please you, so
yeah,
you're gonna say what you're gonna say, but you've already read the book, so go for it. So
yeah, cheers. And I found that a lot of them were picking up things, and it was like only a small little fragment of what the book was genuinely about. My book was genuinely about my struggles after leaving. Yes, the first couple of chapters about me serving and my family stuff. But the last couple were mainly about my progression into dealing with the different issues that I was having. It was like, that was the point of the book, and you've completely missed the point. But whatever. But yeah, that's enough about those cunts. Enough about those cunts. Well, one thing I do have to ask you, and this is going to be my new little thing, especially if I have Air Force guys on, especially if I have TAC Ps on, or JTACs, whatever you want to call yourselves. Obviously, the last episode I had Jared Taylor on, JT from Black Rifle Coffee. Very well known for.
I'm good mates with Jared. So yeah.
Yeah. So I asked him an Air Force question. Clearly, obviously, as a forward air controller, you get to control the air. His favorite aircraft to control were the Apaches. Now, what was yours?
A-10 Warthogs, without a doubt.
Hey, get in there. Burp.
And that's no disrespect to any other aircraft, but I destroyed so much shit with A-10s.
Yes.
Like those mofos, and one of my good friends is a lieutenant colonel in one of the squadrons over there in the US, and I caught up with him when I was in the US just recently. But A-10s, like, don't get me wrong, I like the AH-64s, both British and US, but A-10s, I it's no disrespect to Australian, UK, or other US aircraft, but you just can't, for close air support, you just can't go past the A-10 or the A-10 boiler. So,
I mean, they made an aircraft around a cannon, so
a gun, yeah.
30 millimeter cannon rounds. They explode on impact.
Exactly.
They're amazing. I've always loved the A-10. That's always been my favorite. We got to go and see the squadron when we were at Kandahar, and just seeing them, I was like, oh, this is amazing. And then they obviously gave us a presentation during our in-country sort of briefing thing, and they went, and I was like, this is the most American fucking presentation I've ever seen, but I'm kind of sat here with a semi. But yeah, but that was the route. That's the route that I wanted to go down, and I still hold a lot of resentment to my sergeant at the time, because I wanted to be an air controller. That was what I wanted to be while I was on tour. I happened to have a talent for comms, so they stuck me on HQ and things like that, being a signaler, just doing your fucking standard fucking signals. And I was like, no, I want to progress. I want to become a JTAC or a TAC P. I want to go to 16 air assault and be attached and things like that. I want to drop bombs, motherfuckers. And they were like, no, you're really good here, so we're going to put you back into HQ. It's like, why are you stopping my career here? And that was like sort of the downfall then. That was sort of one of the times that I was like, nah, I'm done. That and the family stuff. But yeah, fucking A-10s I love them. I do love them.
That's mine. But yeah, I'm good mates with JT. I was just over San Antonio with him, not at his house, not recently, just recently, sorry. And yeah, so if you're going to send this out to JT, just go, tell JT to, go fuck yourself, JT. No, I'm joking. He was the ultimate. He was the ultimate host. He was the ultimate host.
Yeah, he was a brilliant guy to talk to as well. And unfortunately, he had a few other things on, so he had to cut the podcast short a little bit. But yeah, he was considering he's not like them. They are famous now, the Black Rifle Coffee, but considering they're not like, A-list celebrities and things like that, and he does have a celebrity status, but they still remain the fucking same, and that's what I love. Yes,
that's the free cap that I got from.
I get the free shit. I was trying to get myself some from Lead Slinger whiskey. I was like, how about you send me some whiskey over? And it's like, oh, we can't ship it to the UK. I was like, fuck's sake. So I'm just gonna have to. He's another one that's invited me over. That's like 5 of my US guests that have invited me over. And I'm like, I'm gonna have to take someone up on this offer soon, because
yeah,
it's got to be done. It's got to be done. So what else have you got planned in the future for yourself?
Here in Australia, I have, and you won't, like, it's already been sort of announced, but there's a short film made about my book, or getting made about my book at the moment. Yeah. And then there's talk of. When I say talk of a second book, I've still got to figure that one out. When I say talk of, other people talk about things when you don't. So
yeah,
it's business world, and all that side of things is different to the military world. Like,
yeah.
So it's kind of weird, but that's pretty much it. And I just donate whatever time I have to not-for-profit organisations here in Australia. So just try and help out people. Paying it forward. I had a awesome military career. So if I can help military and first responders, it doesn't even need to go that far. Like, it's if I can help anyone by having a conversation, and that's the big reason about that's the big reason about podcasts. It's like, if I can help someone, if I can save one person, then that's pretty, like, in my eyes, that's pretty cool. Like,
amen, brother. Amen to that. That's fucking awesome. So in terms of your potential short movie that's coming out, sorry, do just touch on this. Are you going to be involved in it at all? As in as an advisor sort of aspect?
I'll be there in the background as an advisor. Yes.
You're going to be in it?
No. You don't want to look at his head.
You need to be in it.
I got a headman for radio. I can turn my hat around and think I'm. I can think I'm Jason Statham, but I just don't have that charisma or anything like that. So no.
I find that
I'll be in the background and make sure it goes.
That's good, because I find that there's certain movies, obviously war movies or military type movies, that come out and they obviously have terrible sort of military advisors and they turn out fucking awful. And then you have the one of the best ones that I've seen recently was 6 Days with which is obviously about the Iranian embassy siege, and I had Rusty on the show, and he was involved in it, and you could definitely tell because of the way it was all fucking made. And the same with Lone Survivor, obviously Marcus Luttrell being involved in that. I just think it helps.
What about Bravo 20? What about Bravo 20 back in the day?
You see, I know
when you've got two, like I know the exact names of the personnel, but let's say Chris Ryan and Andy McNabb.
Andy McNabb, yeah. You see,
Yeah, like I know I know their names, but I'm not gonna blurt this out over. Like everyone know, I think everyone knows their name. So, but I'm not going to be that guy.
it's all good.
But
The funny, well, to be fair, growing up, I used to love Bravo 20. I was like, oh, it's such a cool movie, blah blah blah. But
that's what made Bravo 20, the book, is what made me join Special Forces. So
that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's
not Chris Ryan's book, but Andy McNabb's book.
Yeah.
So we obviously know him from a different name, but
yeah. Well, for myself, being from the mighty town of, or city, should I say, Hereford, that's my hometown. Yeah, we get all those sorts of stories.
So have you stomped the Breckons then?
Yeah, of course I have.
The Beacons.
So basically, the reason why I'm from Hereford
that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, my old man was attached to SAS Hereford 22 to be their parachute jump instructor. So he was one of the top jump instructors in the country. So they drafted him in, and he was based there for a good few years, and then we just fucking stayed there. So yeah, growing up in Hereford, I know a few of the guys, especially sort of now sort of times. I know a few faces, should I say? But yeah, it's a strange city to grow up in. Definitely. Yeah, the amount of people that claim that they were on the balcony and
it's the same. It's the same amount of people that know the colour of the boat shirt at Hereford. And it's like I've been there, and I'm not letting away secrets, but Hereford isn't exactly the central organisation of Tutu at the moment. So Tutu is everywhere. So,
they're everywhere. Damn it. Yeah, I remember one of the first times that I sort of was like in awe of someone was we were in a pub in Hereford called the Barrels. I was out having a beer with my old man, and my old man just looks down the end of the bar, sort of raises his drink up, gives him a little nod, and I was like looking over, and it's very distinctive, the shape of the moustache, but sat there was John McAleese at the end of the bar. I was like, wow, like
holy shit!
I was
that's a living that's a living legend right there, John McAleese.
I was like, wow. I was like, Dad, do you know? And he was like, yeah, cool. I know Mac quite well. I was like, it's fucking amazing. I was just literally in awe, and I was like, can I go out? And he was like, no, don't bother. Just leave him to have his fucking beer. Like a proper sprog that I was, definitely. But my man,
well, it works, mate. That's works.
It is, my man. I just want to take the opportunity to thank you for coming on. It's been a fantastic chat.
Thank you very much.
It's
been awesome. Hopefully, it's been a good chat, and hopefully your listeners get a lot out of this. And if not, then blame it on me. So.
I will. I'll blame everything on you. I'll go that fucking Australian, that fucking Aussie. Nah, it's.
Well, you need to sit there and go, that fucking convict fuck from that shit country that we colonised fucking 200 plus years ago. So
it's how we roll. It's how we roll. But yeah, this has literally been international week for myself. So I've had JT on, I've had yourself on. I'm global, you could say. But yeah, it's generally been my privilege to have you on. It's fantastic, and I hope all the best.
Thank you very much.
With the selling of the book, potentially the second book, and the movie that's coming up.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to be on, and I can't thank you enough. So,
no, it's all mine. It's all mine. And yeah, I won't take up any more of your evening, and I hope you have a good rest of your week, or start of your week.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Cheers again, Troy, and thank you again for coming on. Genuine. Stay safe.
No worries.